What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Ham House Sports. It's Big Matt and Little Matt, and this is episode 7. The last one was 6. Episode 7 on Ham House Sports Guide to Collecting and Investing Sports Cards. On this episode, we will be going over selling, sales, anything that involves selling, we'll be going over.
So this is, we talked about acquisition last, which is Matthew's favorite part. Matthew loves finding deals. He loves negotiating deals. He loves, buying. But you have to be able to sell if you want to grow. One of the things that I think I focus more on is selling. And that is the idea of there are some cards that I do want to hold long term. But a lot of times what we're doing is we're staying liquid with our cards. Yep. As a way to make money on these cards, to buy cards that we want. And this is the idea of selling. Now, this is where it can get really tricky for people who are into making sports cards from a hobby into a business. If you want to make this into a business, if you really want to grow with this, you have got to hustle when it comes to selling. Now, I have owned businesses and been a salesman pretty much my entire grown life. I could do a 10-part series on this because the methods and the tactics that I see guys using in the sports cards hobby drives me nuts. It drives me crazy when I see sellers using fear as motivation for why people should. Dude, you got to get this card. It's going up fast. No. I'm not doing that. No. And I'm not participating in that. When you got guys, oh man, I got this guy over here, he's going to do this. You got to do this. When guys get shield bids or fake bids to get their prices up, when guys basically give you low numbers on your cards and high numbers on theirs, like all of that nonsense. It drives me bonkers. So when it comes to selling cards, Matthew, Let's talk about sales. Number one is how to price your card.
How to price your card. All right. So there's multiple ways you can price your card. There's an app called Card Ladder that you can look up your cards and it just shows you sold prices, right? There's an app called Alt, which is really cool. You can actually take a picture of your card. You can scan the card and it will actually tell you what their estimated value and show you any recent sales. That's only for slabs. There's a place called 130 Point. You can always check it on eBay, but on eBay they have best offers and you can't see what they actually sold for. So if you go to a place called 130 Point, which is just on Safari, and you look up 130 Point, it will show you what it actually sold for. You can just look up the card. But how to actually find what your card is worth is just to go on those apps and look it up and just see what it sold for.
Yep. So you have to understand the market when you're wanting to price your card. And when you're pricing a card, you have to look at the liquidity of that card. Like if that card has a lot of options out there, like if there's 100 of them listed and they're all listed at $100, you might get lucky that somebody picks yours, but you might want to price it at $90 to be the cheapest one on the market if you're looking to move it. But if it's a card that you have a little bit of faith in and the guy's going to be growing and moving up, you could price it maybe at 110 and be okay with the hold. So one of the things that I would say is when you're putting cards up for sale, if you put a card on bids on an auction house like eBay, you sincerely have to be okay with whatever that card. We learned early on, we put a card on bids that was like a Devin Booker jersey card, and we were thinking it was a $10 card.
Yeah.
It sold for 99 cents, right? Now, we learned our lesson.
Anthony Edwards.
You do not put cards on bids that are not popular cards.
And then don't have comps all the time.
Yep. So I thought I had it's over here. So like this is a perfect card here, right? This is Phillip Rivers rookie card. Okay. Great quarterback, likely a Hall of Famer. You would never put this on bids because the chances that somebody's out there looking for a Phillip Rivers rookie card is low. Contrast that with Jackson Holliday, the hottest name in baseball right now. Okay, everybody's looking for this card. You could put this card on bids, and you're probably going to get your number. But for us, we bought this card for pretty close to its market value, so we would not put it on bids because there's a chance it would go lower. Whereas if we bought this card raw and had it graded, let's say we were into this card for $300, it's selling for $800, you could probably put it on bids then. So it's not just about knowing eBay or when to put a card on bids, when to put a card on buy it now. You've got to understand when you're selling the card. It's best to sell right before a season. It's better to follow the players and see when they're trending upward. And so that's where you have to be very understanding of your inventory so that it's not just like, oh, everything's for sale all the time. No, I've got some cards I'm holding. I've got some cards that are available. I've got some cards that are coming available, right? So you have to have that cycle of the life of a card within it. Now, for us, like here's an example. This is an Andrew Painter rookie card that is autographed by Andrew Painter. We just got these back. These are autographed. We've got to send them off to get them graded. So they're over here in the process of being ready to sell, whereas Jackson Holiday, we could sell him right now. Now, Andrew Painter will get healthy. This card will get graded, and it'll be at this point, you know, it's some time in the future, but right now it's not. Whereas this card would be one that would be up for sale. However, this card is one we want to hold because we think Jackson Holiday is going to be a good major leaguer. And so,
another guy's liquid right now.
Yeah.
Him.
Who's this?
That's Kitty.
Yeah. Ronald Acuna Jr. is in the middle of an MVP season right now. This card is very liquid. It's listed on eBay and it's currently up for sale on a bunch of different places. So selling, we talked about knowing the market, when to sell, bids, all that kind of stuff. What about selling to individuals or selling at shows?
Yeah, so selling at shows. So if you sell a card on eBay, that means you have to pay a 15% fee. So if you sell it for $100, you're only gonna net $85 because eBay takes a fee, right? But if you sell at a show, there is no fee. So if there's a $100 card you sell for $100, you don't have to sell it for $85. You actually can sell it for $100.
Yep. So selling at a show is a good place. One of the things that we've been successful in is when you go to a show with a good card and you do a cash plus card trade. So this Phillip Rivers card is about a $300 card. Okay. Let's say that a guy has a card that he has listed for $500.
Yes.
Rather than me paying him $500, I might go, hey, you know what? I'll give you this Phillip Rivers card and $220. So I'm giving him a little bit over the value, but I'm coming out of pocket less cash, right?
Yes.
And so I've got less cash in the deal. I got rid of inventory and I got into new inventory.
Yes.
So you can do a lot of that stuff when you're in person. Cash plus trade, that is very helpful when you're trying to kind of grow, and it's called trading up. Adversely, you could do a trade down, which this is a Trey Turner rookie auto, orange, numbered to 25. We got into this card at a little bit of a high price. So right now, a strategy we have on this is to trade down. Maybe trade this card for 4 cards that are around $1,000. And maybe that guy wants to get into a Trey Turner card instead of us trying to sell it outright. So that'd be a trade down. These are all strategies that you really need to understand and perfect. Trading up with cash, trading down into lower cards, cash plus trade, utilizing your marketplace for your auction houses as well as your buy it now, but then being able to go to a show and work out deals in person.
That's my specialty.
Yeah, Matthew loves negotiating at shows and all that kind of stuff. The other thing that I'll say about selling cards is if you are making money in the deal,
take it.
Don't be afraid to take it. If you are even losing a little bit of money in the deal, don't be afraid to take it.
Like the judge. I feel like the judge,
Yep.
And it's always never speculate. Like you could, if you have a Jackson Holiday, right, and you're making $300 on it, oh my God! Unless you're gonna hold him like we are. I don't know. This card could be a $1,500 card. If you're making $300, take it.
Yeah. Just the thing I said in the last video, bears make money, bulls make money, pigs get slaughtered. A lot of times guys hold on to cards too long thinking that the value is going to keep going up or whatever.
Exactly what happened with all the cards during the pandemic hype. Everybody said, I'm going to buy this Tom Brady card. It's going to be worth $200,000 in 3 years. And the card's probably worth $10,000.
Yeah. So what's really interesting in the marketplace right now is a lot of guys got into the market during the height of the pandemic, and a lot of people overpaid for cards. And so you're going to see if the financial situation kind of pushes on those folks, they're going to have to let those cards go for under their value. That's where investors or collectors can stand on the sidelines and wait for that to happen and find some really good deals on cards. You know, and again, it's kind of like, you know, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Like there are people who just go, you know what, I'm out. I'm out of the hobby. I don't want to do this anymore.
Or they have real ridiculously high-end cards, and they might have like, I mean, $10,000 cards, and they have a $1,000 card, and like, hey, would you take $700 on it? Sure. Like, because they really don't care.
You just have to be mindful of kind of who you're dealing with and what you're dealing with, and find the people you want to work with, as we said in the last video. Like, if you're dealing with people who are beating you up, if you're dealing with people who aren't willing to negotiate, and, you know, don't just move on, you know, just move on. In a very simple conversation with a vendor or a dealer to show, you're going to find out, does this guy actually want to like make a deal and make something work? Or is this guy like, you know, locked in? I remember going to a show a while ago, and this guy had like a Juan Soto rookie card. The card had a comparable sale of $2,500. And I said, how much do you want for it? He said $6,000. And I said, it just sold for 25. He goes, I know, but this is Juan Soto and it's a thing. And I said, so you're not interested in entertaining a comparable sale on it? And he said, no. Well, at that moment, I really knew that that was not a guy that I wanted to go do business with. And so I've kind of check marked that in my head. So when I go to a show and I see that guy set up, I'm not going to go by his table. On the flip side of that, there's a lot of guys that we've done deals with, right? And they've been super cool, and they've been like, yeah, man, you know what? We'll do a deal on that card. You know, I graded it. I'm making money. Let's call it a day. I'm going to go back to those guys every single time and try to make deals with them. So as you get in the hobby, you understand who the people are you want to make deals with, who the guys you want to buy from, who's fair, who's not. And you've got to perfect that if you want to get really good at buying and selling.
100%. That's it. You just said exactly. You literally just said it all right there. That's really all that matters, is making connections in the hobby and finding who you want to do deals with and who you don't want to do deals with.
Yeah, and we can go deeper on buying and selling and strategies, but for now, this is just kind of a basic thing. So that's pretty much it on buying and selling.
That's number